Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Every day, there are countless books and articles that are published offering the key on how to make your business a success. It's easy to feel overwhelmed trying to keep up and run your business. That's why Deb Creer created the Business Power Hour. Keep up on the latest trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. Let the Business Power Hour do the heavy work for you.
Good morning. Good morning. I am Deb Creer, and I am passionate about giving professionals the tools that they need to make themselves and their businesses as successful as possible. And today we're going to be talking with a woman who has started a great business that is for other women, but men, don't stop listening because you all have daughters, sisters, mothers, all those people, and you need to be thinking about how this information can benefit them also. So please join me in welcoming Amita Sharma to our program today. Welcome, Amita. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much, Deb, for inviting me today.
I love it. We're going to have such a great discussion. So let me tell people a little bit about you. As the co-founder of NourishDoc, a global holistic wellness platform for peri to post-menopausal women, Amita Sharma is on a mission to bring affordable wellness to every woman in the world. NourishDoc has designed evidence-based and culture-sensitive holistic wellness programs for women's wellness, self-care, and prevention. With menopause as a taboo globally and over 1 billion women reaching menopause, wellness for women at this stage should be at the forefront. So again, Amita, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for bringing this taboo subject out in the open.
It is, and the funny thing is it's taboo everywhere. It does, it's not just in, places where it's typically a very male oriented culture, things like that. We don't discuss it here in the States, and you don't even discuss it with your other female friends in many cases, right? So, I always love, excuse me, hearing from my guests how it is that they got to where they are today. So tell us a little bit more about that.
A lot of embarrassing moments, I'll tell you that, when going through perimenopause.
Mm-hmm.
No clue what perimenopause was actually.
Right.
And I think a lot of women even today, they don't understand that menopause we understand, cessation of your periods. But what we don't understand as women is that the perimenopause or the transitional phase, as we call it, the pre, can start 7 to 10 years earlier than your menopause.
Wow.
We don't understand that. And that's what started happening to me when I was in my early 40s, like 40, 41. Suddenly I started in public sweating.
Gotta love those hot flashes.
Absolutely. In meetings, corporate meetings. Suddenly I would forget things. My mood swings were going up and down. All these symptoms that typical normal symptoms or common symptoms, I should say it. I started getting them when I was 40, 41, and I had no clue. I thought I was going to get a heart attack. Seriously, because you don't know that you are going through a transition towards menopause. Nobody told me. I go to my medical doctor, gynecologist. Nobody prepared me. I didn't read anywhere. Nobody told me, hey, come and see me again for your annual checkup. By the way, you're going to be perimenopausal. So that's the journey that I started with, all these embarrassing moments at work, at night, sleeping issues, irregular periods. That was my starting journey. And it wasn't a simple magic pill. I had no clue about HRT, which is readily available now. And I assume that it is safer than it used to be before, or bioidentical hormones. So there was a lot of digging and research into what I started doing into this whole phase of a woman's life. And that took me quite a few years to be where I am standing, sitting in front of you now today.
Right. And it is something that to some degree does happen to every woman. Some have, horrific symptoms, and others just kind of coast. I mean, I was very fortunate. I just kind of coasted and, didn't really have too many issues. But yeah, I had friends who, as you said, started very early having symptoms. And then when you add on the actual menopause part, I mean, they were having hot flashes and mood swings and things like that for 10, 20 years. And that can obviously affect you in your work.
Absolutely. And that is the alarming part.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the United States,
Mm-hmm.
4% of the workforce right now in the United States is women over 45.
Wow.
They are perimenopausal. We
Mm-hmm.
know that because of the age,
mm-hmm.
right? And we celebrate pregnancy, we celebrate
Mm-hmm.
childbirth, we
Right.
celebrate all those things. I'm not saying celebrate perimenopause or menopause, but
Mm-hmm.
at least, hey, at least acknowledge
Mm-hmm.
the women who might be going through very embarrassing moments
Right.
at work, and give them some tools
Mm-hmm.
to help them navigate this journey.
Mm-hmm. Well, and
You know,
and give them grace when you see something like that is happening.
absolutely. And that's the embarrassing moments that most of us are going through. Like approximately 75 million women in workforce are 45 or over
Mm-hmm.
in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure they've had some kind of an embarrassing moment
Mm-hmm.
at one time or another.
Right.
But do they feel that they feel that they can go and talk to their manager?
Mm-hmm.
Do they feel that they can go talk to a colleague,
Right.
or an HR? Hey, by the
Mm-hmm.
way, I'm going through this.
Mm-hmm.
And they, do they feel comfortable?
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of research and data that has been done. They don't feel comfortable. They
Right.
don't feel, supported. And same here,
Mm-hmm.
I felt that if I go and talk to someone, they will think something has gone wrong with my
Mm-hmm.
mind.
Right. Oh, there she
Right?
goes again. Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they're going to put me in the
Mm-hmm.
sideline, and they're going to think
Mm-hmm.
that I am not capable of doing the work that I'm supposed to do. So that the
Mm-hmm.
fear and the shame, most of the women feel like that at work. How do we take that out? How do we
Right.
make it, right for the corporates
Mm-hmm.
or anyone who's listening,
Mm-hmm.
who's at a responsible position, to make them comfortable that it
Mm-hmm.
is a normal part. It's not a disease. There's
Mm-hmm.
nothing wrong
Right.
with you,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Well, and as you mentioned, it's a taboo subject, and part of it is, we as especially as women business leaders, that whole thing has just, because, it's the stigma of, well, it must be that time of the month, right? And a woman can't be a good leader because of the hormones and all of those things. And so we have to deal with that. And then, along comes this, and so it's in many ways, I think people, we're generalizing, but, I think a lot of times men go, yeah, right. It is, it's just them darn women. And so then we try to hide it, and all sorts of things. And of course, in many cases, what that does is it harms us, and it can make things worse.
Absolutely, because I think we women, it doesn't matter which part of the world we are coming from.
Mm-hmm.
I can make the statement. We are always thinking of others. We are not
Right.
thinking about
Mm-hmm.
ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then we always pay so much attention of what others think of us. We don't
Mm-hmm.
value our self-worth.
Right.
And majority of the women I'm talking about, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not talking about all the C-level women. All
Mm-hmm.
kudos to them, of course. They've
Mm-hmm.
reached a place where
Mm-hmm.
they, self-worth is
Mm-hmm.
important. So I think this is, and we don't understand the significance of this stage, particularly if we don't take care of ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
specifically during the perimenopause. And I'll come to that, why it is so important
Mm-hmm.
that we could, when we turn 65 and beyond, or in fact earlier,
Mm-hmm.
we can get chronic conditions, which is
Right.
happening to 50%
Mm-hmm.
of Americans today. They have 2 or more chronic conditions, right? Because we are trying to, like, oh, it's not a big deal, it's part of the
Mm-hmm.
aging. No, you can take things in your control. You can help yourself.
Mm-hmm.
We don't do that. That's
Right.
the problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we see that even with when we get a cold or something like that. We don't take the time to get well, and then of course what happens sometimes is then we get very ill. But yeah, it's, oh no, I'm fine. Snuffle, snuffle, snuffle. I'm only running a temperature of 102. It's fine. Snuffle, snuffle. And because we're the caregivers, and we don't want to, and I think too, we don't want to admit that something could be wrong.
I have to tell you something funny. It's the soccer mom phenomena.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say
Mm-hmm.
like that, right? When our kids are younger, and all of us have gone to our kids' school, and all the moms, like they're supercharged, most of them, and they're like, they're trying to like, there's this whole thing, oh, I'm the super mom, I can do anything. And I think that phenomena that, oh, I'm the super mom, I'm capable of doing everything.
Right.
And nothing can go wrong with me, right? That has to stop, and we need to say, hey, I need to take care of myself.
Right. Well, when I've talked about this with other guests, we talk about the fact that it's like the instructions on an airplane, right? When the oxygen mask drops down, you put yours on first before you help the child next to you, because if you can't take care of yourself first, you're not going to be able to take care of them.
Absolutely. And that's what I want to emphasize today on your show is the perimenopause that's happening, the natural process that's happening. Our female sex hormones are going to go down and just start depleting. That is a fact that's happening with all the women.
We get older.
We get older, whether it's happening naturally or forced, through surgery. Like we were talking about that earlier. And so when that is happening, the hormones are going down. You have to change your lifestyle. If you don't do it, guess what's going to happen? You're not going to be a super mom.
Right.
Right?
Right. Well, and a big part of it is as you said, it's what we're doing. So let's talk about the nutrition aspects. And I say that sitting here with a soda, shh, don't tell. It's my one that I'll have probably this whole week. But a lot of the changes that are happening to us, we really could help mitigate them by changing our diet. So talk to us more about that.
Yes, absolutely. Diet is one component. I would go beyond the diet. I would say lifestyle, but let's start with the diet. So basically, when these two female sex hormones, estrogen and progesterone, are starting to go down, you need to change your diet to get that. These hormones are amazing. That's why we are women the way we are, right? So you need to get somehow these hormones back into your body. Naturally, if possible, right? So now, most of the time, and you need to eliminate the food, they are triggers. For example, you need to, as women, alcohol is number one, right? We all love our wine.
I know. I can't have my wine. Oh, I'm going to whine about not having my wine, right?
Absolutely. But, you could have, I'm not saying completely stop, but limit, right? Limit.
Moderation is the key to many things.
Absolutely. Caffeine is another one. All the processed food, red meat, right? Sugar, anything that's white, basically you have to eliminate. What you have to replenish with is all the plant-based food. Very simple. Go plant-based 3 or 4 times a week, if possible, or more. I have literally gone 6 days a week plant-based.
Wow.
Diet, yes, completely plant-based, easy to digest. Phytoestrogen foods that have phytoestrogens in them. They mimic the estrogen, because we talked about the estrogen hormone going down. Load up on those kind of foods, things like broccoli. I know a lot of people don't like broccoli. I know, even I don't like broccoli. I have a hard time. I don't know how to put it in.
I know I can never make the florets do what they're,
me too. Cauliflower, I think cauliflower rice is available readily everywhere. Brussels sprouts, you can just air fry, right? These things.
And put a lot of cheese on them.
Don't put cheese. Don't put cheese. Seeds and nuts are really, really good. All kinds of seeds, pumpkin seeds, nuts are very good. Healthy fats. You need to incorporate healthy fats in your diet. Whether it's avocado, whether it's healthy fats, whether it is salmon, even ghee. I don't know if listeners know about ghee, clarified butter. You need to Don't do it every single day. Everything moderation, whatever I'm talking about. Then also some other foods that give you like energy, also help your digestive enzymes, like bitter foods, things like radish, things like bitter gourd, what we call karela, right? Or neem. Neem is really good. It's bitter. I don't know if you can have it raw or not, but there is a powder that you can get neem, and you try to get some bitter enzymes in your in your body. Whole grains, we know that whole grains is great, and get rid of the white rice and replenish with the whole grains. Mediterranean diet is supposed to be very good,
right? It's very plant-based.
Yes, very plant-based. All the hummus, and they put olive oil. Use the oils that are good for your heart. Avocado oil. These kind of changes that you need to start making. And then the other thing which is very important is up your protein intake in the morning. The breakfast should be very heavy on protein. In fact,
so for people who skip breakfast, bad.
Very bad, I'm telling you. It's so bad, because guess what? Your gut is connected with your mental health. There is a vagus nerve that's going direct highway right here, right? So if you don't feed your gut properly, your mental health, anxiety, depression, stress, all that, you're going to feel it.
Right.
There's a scientific evidence.
Well, and it's also very much a part of your immune system, and so when you get off on your gut health, then you likely are going to get sick because your immune system is going to drop.
Absolutely. Prebiotics, probiotics, very important for your gut health. Having some kind of herbal teas, get these herbal teas into your life. Try to get rid of the caffeine. We talked about that. A lot of your kitchen spices are so good. Turmeric. Incorporate turmeric in your cooking. I use turmeric in curries because coming from India here originally. But what I do in the morning is I boil my water with turmeric root, with ginger root, with cumin, with carom seeds, put a little bit of a lemon, honey, and I put a little bit of a herb called triphala, and I drink it.
To me that just would smell wonderful.
Yes. So bring these kitchen spices into your life. The kitchen spices are amazing. Cinnamon, all these spices, nutmeg, right? We're talking about saffron. So all these spices, you try to incorporate that into your cooking. If you don't want to cook on a daily basis, soups, simple soups, light soups, right? Even smoothies, I'm not sure. But, have a nourished meal. Don't only load up only on I'm only going to have my fruit smoothie and I'm good.
Right, because that's an awful lot of glucose right there.
Exactly. Sugar, right? Natural sugar, but you don't want again getting your sugar through the natural now.
Right. Yeah, because when your sugar spikes, then then you're going to eat poorly, and it just becomes this cycle.
Absolutely, your blood sugar has to be in control because you're going to get hungry again. I mean, it happened to me. I said, I'm going to start loading up on fruits, and I used to be hungry, and I did not know what to do, and I keep eating all the time. It's bad for you, right? So have whichever meal you have a balanced meal. Protein is so important, whichever way you want to. Protein, whether it's eggs, if you are a vegetarian, get some plant-based protein like tofu, so good quality soy is very good. All these things, if you start incorporating changes in your diet and try to eat, normal times like breakfast properly and then dinner, before 7 o'clock. And so there is a gap. I'm not saying start doing intermittent fasting of like 8-16 or something like that, but it's already you're fasting. If you eat at 7 o'clock and if you don't eat your breakfast until 9 o'clock,
right? There's 12 hours.
There's more than 12 hours. That is intermittent fasting, and that's you're eating between 8 to 10 hours of that window, right? And that has shown a lot of evidence of your body starts detoxification, right? Automatically. You don't need to have all kind of juice cleanses and all strange things happening to your body and starving yourself. So don't starve yourself. What I'm saying, get all nutrient dense diet is very, very important. Don't count the calories. You need to get away from the calories. You need to make sure you nourish yourself really really well.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you don't want to be, I don't want to say, like, as you get older, you don't want to be getting all kind of strange chronic conditions.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very important for women during this phase, because of your hormones going down, you need to get nutrient dense diet of all the things we talked about,
Right.
having proper meals, having protein intake going up, healthy fats, and complex complex carbohydrates in your diet. These are just journal guidelines.
Right. Well, and we're not saying switch now, and do it 100%. Do a couple meals, then do a couple more meals and things like that. And it's going to be healthy for the whole family. I mean, this is, this is a good thing. But, one of the things that I think we see a lot of as women age is, and especially when the hormones change, is the weight gain. And I think a big part of that is the fact that because of everything, we're craving things like sugar and the processed foods and not exercising. I know that's another part of what we need to talk about. But it's and of course with women, we're really bad about the snacking. We're going to grab here and there and or finishing up the plates. You can't throw that food away. So I'm going to eat those 4 bites that were on, that plate and pretty soon, you might have had a good meal, but then you had 3 more. And so it's just really being conscious of what it is and when we're eating. I mean, the whole snacking thing. And especially in an office, right? Because somebody has a birthday, so we have a cake. And this person has candy on their desk, so you got to walk by. All these various things. It's kind of a landmine in an office in a lot of cases.
Yeah, and the same thing happened to me. I just put on so much weight, and I was binge eating, emotional eating, whatever you want to call it, at such a hard time trying to stop eating. And then I obviously, this was a few years before I started this holistic wellness. And then I started getting into, why am my tummy is bloated like I'm 5 months pregnant, right?
Right. Yeah. You're like, what the heck's going on?
I know. And no matter what you eat, your tummy, your bloating is just not going inside, right? Because this midriff. So the problem was, I look at myself, I was not eating properly. I was just hungry, eat. I was just, but I was not paying attention to the nutrition part of what I was eating. And that is so important for women to focus on the nutrition part of what they're eating. All these bars, right? And not that I'm saying, talking about any particular brand or anything, but then, I would say, oh, I'm having all these energy bars and these are very healthy. But there are preservatives and there are all
there's a lot of sugar in them.
Yeah, and sugar. My God, there's so much sugar. You think that you're eating healthy, all these things. The sugar is the culprit, and the sugar is what you need to watch out for. And most of us think we're eating healthy when we are not. So I don't know how you get down to buying your old-fashioned produce veggies, right? And you, however you want to start incorporating your vegetable plant-based meals in your life. I don't know how you start cooking on a daily basis, but you can prep ahead of time and mix the ingredients. That's what, if you start focusing on that, your weight is going to go down. You can control your sugar intake. You up your exercise a little bit. You will see the difference.
Right. And some of it is just not having the preservative foods. Now I did go to Taco Bell today, and I go to Taco Bell maybe once a month. Now I will pay for it. My body will say, no, we don't like this. But it's also important to not do the prepackaged food. I mean, it's easy, and especially for people who are going 900 miles an hour in 5 different directions, right? It's real easy to get whatever it is, pop it in the microwave, and poof, you've got the meal. But there's a commercial out, and I actually want to. I'm tempted to try it just to see waffles on the go. And and I'm like, I mean, it actually makes my teeth hurt just thinking about it, because there's got to be a lot of sugar in there. But instead of that, what about a package of carrots? Or and yes, that sounds blah and that sounds boring, but it is a heck of a lot better for you.
The problem is the package of carrots don't taste good.
I know. Like I gotta think. I'm thinking about waffles on that. Just sounds good, right? Waffles
I
on
know.
the yeah. I'm trying to figure out how to get the syrup in there, but yeah, and that is, of course, the allure of prepackaged and pre-prepared foods is they have added, whether it's sugars or chemicals, they have to enhance the flavor because the process kind of removes a lot of the flavor out of it. So they have to add all of that back in, and so you crave it, and I think that's one of the really sad things about all of this, and especially here in the United States. I mean, that business is a huge business and has been for many, many years.
Absolutely. And that's the problem. See, when the more we start eating these kind of packaged foods, the more you're going to start craving these kind of foods. And then you're always like a mouse on a wheel that's never going to get away. Right. So that's the problem. So how do you get yourself, wean yourself away from this is important. So you start small. You can start one day, okay, or 2 days, or I'm going to prep ahead of time. Yeah, that's what I try to do. I prep, cut my vegetables or whatever. It has to be prepped ahead of time. And then, putting these vegetables together and cooking doesn't take more than 10 minutes if you have done the prep work ahead of time. Things like that. So I think meal preparation is what I would say everyone should try to incorporate. You set your days, like 2 days in a week, and then try to have fresh meals if possible. At least 4 or 5 days a week, if possible. Right. That would be a great start. And then, of course, exercise is another one, and then other things are go along with it.
Right. Yeah, I actually have a little under desk elliptical machine. And so now I don't use it when I'm doing this because it makes just a little bit amount of noise. But I can sit here and just do. And I don't do it very long because even sitting at my desk, I'm out of shape. But it is something that is pretty easy to do. Obviously, getting outside, going for a walk, all of that is much better. But it's like you said, it's anything you can do to kind of start this and then keep doing it.
Yeah, the other thing is, I would emphasize and all the listeners to learn about breathing exercises.
Right.
Right? That helps you calm down a lot. There's a lot of research and data about it, along with your nutrition that you're trying to go change on a daily basis or weekly basis or make some small changes. That's what I do. I did. But the other tip that I would say is that get to know some of the spices in your kitchen, or generally herbs and spices, and you can flavor your meal, these veggies, with the herbs and spices. And that's what I do, is that, and then they're very flavorful. Right.
And as we said, there's an aroma to it. And that aroma, it's kind of like when you smell popcorn, right? You're like, ooh. But yeah, when you smell those spices cooking, it's just, then you're almost automatically hungry.
Absolutely. Like things like oregano, right? We can get dried oregano. We can get dried fenugreek, dried basil. These are great herbs. And some of the coriander seeds, you can grind them. These are simple, like even I don't know, the red peppers, people are not really into the jalapeno peppers. These are good way that you can spice up your food and add a little bit of flavor to your veggies. You can saute veggies and put this, or a little bit of vinegar or lemon juice, salt. That comes out actually pretty good. Yeah,
like on your salad. I mean, you don't have to do half a bottle of ranch dressing. You can do a nice, vinaigrette that is probably actually going to taste better anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Things like that. These changes would help you make your embracing the holistic lifestyle that we are talking about. But if you start making these little changes, it will become a habit. You will, believe it or not, you will not like processed food. I do not eat processed food, zero, because of all the changes that I have made in my diet, nutrition.
Well, and if you do eat them, it's probably going to make you sick, because your body's going to go, what the heck is this?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
And it really is, granted, a lot of what we need to do is and women are pretty good about doing their annual physicals, things like that. But we do need to have stuff measured. What is our estrogen level? Has it dropped? And unfortunately, sometimes it might actually take medication. The best is always to try and do it naturally, but don't try and do it yourself. I mean, I think that's the other thing. But just knowing all these things, I actually saw my doctor earlier today, and she said, well, your sodium is a little high. And I said, well, I've been having a bowl of potato chips every night. And she just looked at me. I said, I know. But the same thing, I could just as easily say, oh, I had a bowl of ice cream.
Yes.
And so then my the sugar would be off. So, that does bring up a very interesting point, is these late night snackathons are not good for us either.
They're bad. They are so bad. You need to, once you finish your meal, your dinner, after that, try not to snack at all, if possible. Most of us love to snack when we're watching, some kind of a TV show. We get bored or whatever, and we start snacking, or we start having a glass of wine to relax ourselves. But that's quite the opposite. You will not have a good night's sleep after.
Yeah, because you're increasing your blood sugar. I can always tell when I've had something very sweet. All my legs will almost start twitching. But yeah, it's and again, it's moderation. I mean, you can have maybe a handful of potato chips as opposed to half a bag. And remember when we were 16 and we could do that?
Unfortunately, those times are finished.
I know.
Those are the sweet moments.
But it is important, as we've said, to talk with your medical care provider, and really say, hey, here's what's going on. And, I talk to a lot of people about their healthcare, and I tell them, one of the biggest things is, if your doctor or your medical care provider does not pay attention to you, then you need a different medical care provider. If you're saying, hey, this is what's going on, and they're just kind of patting you on the head saying, well, that's all right, little lady, don't you know you're getting older? That's not, it's and you also, as we said, you don't want that person that automatically is going to say, take a pill.
Yes.
And it's kind of amazing, as all of the things that I have wrong. I take very few medications. I actually take more supplements than I take medications. And if they try to prescribe something, I look at them and I'm like, do I have to have that? Even if it's just something like a pain medicine. No, I'm okay. I don't need that. But yeah, the supplements. But check out the supplements too. I was looking on one of mine that I take, and I actually don't remember which one it was, but it was half sugar. I mean, and I was like, well, that's not good.
Oh my God. I didn't realize the supplements have sugar as well.
Well, it was a little gummy. And so, yep, they had put, so it was basically, I was just eating, and I thought, no. But even the things that say sugar-free, okay, well, what are they using in place to sweeten it? Because it could be that it is just as bad for you as sugar.
No, so you're absolutely right. Like, the medication is something that I have stayed away myself as well. And the supplements is also natural. It's natural medicine. You're putting herbs in your body, and don't start growing an herbal garden now in your family,
have
right?
one. It is
so
pitiful.
You want to
oh my gosh, it's the most pitiful herb garden you'll ever see.
So yeah, absolutely. So to consult a naturopathic doctor. They know, most of the naturopathic doctors are very well trained in herbs, all kind of different herbs. So I highly recommend consult one of them, or whoever understands the herbs, right? The supplements, herbalists. So that way you are taking the right supplement for what is needed for you, and you just don't start eating any kind of supplement out there. You might not need it.
Right. Well, and you can take too much of those also. And I think a lot of people don't realize that, you can overdo with some of these, and that can actually be as unhealthy, if not more, than not taking it at all.
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at some of the older sciences like Ayurveda, even traditional Chinese medicine, they
Mm-hmm.
talk about body constitution. They
Mm-hmm.
talk about each and every person body
Mm-hmm.
constitution is different. Based on your body
Mm-hmm.
constitution, you should have that kind of food and
Mm-hmm.
supplements. And even in Western world where we are today,
Mm-hmm.
you can have some lab testings done,
Mm-hmm.
blood work done, or whatever you think
Mm-hmm.
is appropriate, if the hormone test is there as well. And then you can take supplements
Mm-hmm.
as per your medical
Mm-hmm.
expert who's telling you.
Right.
But one of the things that happens in the hormone testing, when the women are going through
Mm-hmm.
perimenopause, I must caution that the hormones are all over the map,
Right. Yeah. What
right?
you test at 1 week is going to be totally different in 3 weeks.
Absolutely. So, and these tests are very expensive. Like
Mm-hmm.
Dutch test is one of the very common
Mm-hmm.
hormone testing out
Mm-hmm.
there. I think it's very expensive. So the problem is you spend all this money and you
Mm-hmm.
still don't know what is
Mm-hmm.
the baseline. So the
Right.
better way is to get it done in your
Mm-hmm.
30s if you
Mm-hmm.
can,
Right.
what your baseline is,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you don't know because it's going to
Mm-hmm.
be all over the map now.
Right. Yeah, I tell my doctors that all the time when they say this is higher, this is low. I say maybe that's just me.
Yes.
And, but yeah, and it is much easier when it's menopause and things have stopped, right? Because then you're not going to have
Yes.
those wild fluctuations.
Absolutely. The fluctuations are going to start the moment you start hitting the
Mm-hmm.
perimenopause, the symptoms,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I mean. And the first symptom is typically irregular periods.
Mm-hmm.
And from that time until you hit the menopause, which is a
Mm-hmm.
complete cessation of your
Mm-hmm.
periods. Now, the problem is in the postmenopause, you're technically in postmenopause.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you could have osteoporosis if
Mm-hmm.
you haven't taken care of yourself,
Right.
that's what we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You could also be prone to dementia.
Mm-hmm.
It's very common. It's
Mm-hmm.
more common in women than men.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did you know that? And heart health,
Mm-hmm.
heart attacks,
Yeah,
you
we
know?
never think about women having bad heart health.
No, we never talk about it. In fact, more women die of heart health,
Mm-hmm.
heart attack than
Mm-hmm.
cancer.
Right. Mm-hmm.
We are so familiar with cancer, breast
Mm-hmm.
cancer, which of course we need to be, but
Mm-hmm.
we're not familiar with women
Mm-hmm.
having heart attacks or heart
Right, because
health
it's a
issues.
totally different set of symptoms than what men have.
Yes, yes. And then diabetes,
Mm-hmm.
that we are prone to diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
So all these things, joint health,
Mm-hmm.
our bones being brittle,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of older
Mm-hmm.
women, you see they're frail, they have osteoporosis, they
Mm-hmm.
can't walk properly. So this is all hormones, right?
Mm-hmm.
That if we don't take care of ourselves, it's a potential
Mm-hmm.
to be in this direction where you don't want to be.
Right. Right. And of course, if you are in business, whether you're an employee or the business owner, that really does affect how you're functioning. The first is, you mentioned, difficulty focusing. All the hot flashes. Yeah, you're really going to be giving a good presentation when you're going, okay, about to die here. But just all of those things, but they are going to happen. I mean, that's the thing. I think people think, well, I'm going to fix it so it doesn't have, no, your body still goes through it. It just, hopefully what you're doing is you're kind of leveling things out.
Yes, and that's what I think for businesses also. If there are any business, owners here in your community,
Mm-hmm.
it's important. It's a good business, actually,
Mm-hmm.
sense. It makes good business sense to support the women
Mm-hmm.
at workplace who are going through this
Right.
because it's going to impact the productivity, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of data. There's an article on Wall Street Journal that
Mm-hmm.
so many billions of dollars are lost every year due to, because of this lack of support at work
Mm-hmm.
for perimenopausal, menopausal
Right.
women, because, they are going to go through this phase of their life. And if
Mm-hmm.
they're not supported, guess what? The productivity, the lack
Right.
of focus,
Yeah,
the
because eventually
yes.
they might even just quit.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
women end up quitting.
Mm-hmm.
Sick time, they feel very embarrassed
Mm-hmm.
that they have to take time off.
Mm-hmm.
They think of quitting. There's a
Mm-hmm.
data that talks about so many women want to quit because they feel very
Mm-hmm.
embarrassed to going at work. I am including one of them,
Mm-hmm.
that I did not know what was happening
Mm-hmm.
with my body, and I felt embarrassed that, hey,
Mm-hmm.
if I changed my job 4 times, believe it or
Mm-hmm.
not,
Right.
thinking that it might change,
Mm-hmm.
but it did not.
Yeah, maybe there was
you know?
something there that was, but yeah, I mean, that was one of the benefits of COVID when we were all of a sudden on Zoom, because you could just turn your camera off, right? And sit there, fan yourself good, and then turn your camera back on. But yeah,
Absolutely.
it's so interesting to think about all this. And but yeah, for the men, realize this is happening. Now don't point it out. Hey honey, you having another hot flash? No, that's not good. But maybe realize you might need to repeat a question, or ask them to say something again, and things like that. I mean, just like we said, give them grace. These are our wives, our mothers, our sisters. Let's give them a little bit of grace, because this is going to happen to everybody to some degree, to every woman to some degree.
Absolutely. And we need to be supportive
Mm-hmm.
amongst our women ourselves. We would like CBT has a lot of evidence that helps women going through menopause, perimenopause. CBT is nothing but cognitive behavioral therapy. It's talk therapy. You can talk to your friends as well. Be part of a community where you can talk and share your experience, right, with other women who are going through similar kind of issues, and that can help as well.
Right, because especially if they've gone through some of these, they might say, "Hey, this helped," or "This made it worse," or all of those things. And it's funny because, like you said, we share stuff with pregnancies, all sorts of other things. But we get to this and we're like, "Oh no, can't talk about it."
Yeah, and the other thing that complicates this phase of life is menopause is different for women as per their ethnic background.
Right.
Right? So Caucasian women are going to experience differently as opposed to African American, Latino, or other ethnic groups, based on what their lifestyle has been, what they have been eating, what their other things that are involved in it. The age when they experience the menopause, as well as the symptoms that they're going to experience, are going to be different.
Right.
That is another thing that women don't understand. Depending on who they are, their experience and age is going to be completely different than the other woman out there.
Right. Right. Yeah. Like I said, I had almost no symptoms. I just kind of sailed through it. I didn't even know that I had gone through menopause until I had some testing done, and they went, "Oh, well, look at that." I went, "Well, cool."
Lucky you.
Yeah, not a single hot flash. And so yeah, it was. But yeah, I really was surprised. But yeah, but I think the other thing, we talk about stigmas and taboos. I actually had somebody. Now, when I had a hysterectomy, I had it many years ago, and I had someone who told me, "Oh, you're no longer a woman," and
oh my
I
God.
smacked them. But the bad part is, that philosophy is out there,
Yes.
and and so then we think about that ourselves too, and so we're putting ourselves through that, when, as we said, everybody does this. I mean, it's not that it's you're special or you're not special. It's just the degree of symptoms that you're going to have.
Absolutely. Our vagina is defining womanhood,
right? Wow, what's it doing now?
Vagina is where the action is happening. The birth is happening. Women are more, that's what we are talking about. We women are, labeled, not labeled, but like sort of like a reproductive health, right? Women are, and it is true, a lot of cultures in the world, right?
They very much value those who are of childbearing age.
Absolutely.
And then we're the wise women, right?
Absolutely. And more so, with the boy than the girls. I mean, that's deviating from our topic here, but women are regarded more for the childbearing age, for the reproduction, and then vagina is considered as the birth And if the vagina is not there in the woman, then
Right.
people say, oh my God, you don't have the vagina anymore? What
Yeah.
happened? Who took your vagina out?
There's no worth. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's true.
And of course, men do go through hormone changes too. I mean, their testosterone, because we've all watched enough late night commercials, right? Where, they've talked about it, which is really funny because they talk, there's lots of commercials for men with their test and, and like Doug Flutie, the big football player, and all of these people talking about it. But you really don't see women doing this either. But that comes back to there's a stigma. We should be talking about it just as much as the men talking about their little blue pills that they're going to take.
So, I think the whole sexuality part is amplified for women. For men needing that part, that part of sexual health more towards the women needing it. The truth is, the sexual health is equally important for women's vitality and as it is for men. But we never talk about women having some kind of
and how things are going to change.
Yes.
You might need some extra help.
We never talk about it. We never talk about boosting the sexual health for women. But we always have all these pills and all kind of things, Viagra's and all kind of things for men, but not for women.
Right. And you touched on something a little bit ago that I want to come back to, and that's Eastern medicine. Because I haven't had it in a while, but I used to have acupuncture all the time. And when we moved, I was not able to find someone here in Atlanta that I could do that. But I had acupuncture for a variety of things when I was in Colorado, and then yoga, meditation, all of those things that we all go, woohoo. Those are so good for you. It's amazing some of the things that can be done, especially with things like yoga and meditation and, the gentle stretching that can help you. You mentioned osteoporosis. One of the things that can help the most is yoga and, making sure that your body is stretched and flexible and things like that. Now, don't go try and do downward dog because you can fall on your head. But yeah, it's, things like that. And the 10 minutes of meditation as you wake up or go to sleep or whatever, or during the day, right? Wouldn't it have been nice if somebody told us 30 years ago, when you've had, a bad day at the office, go sit in the ladies' room and just calm yourself. Now, I mean, you might shed a tear or two, but yeah, just go in and kind of meditate for a while. No, we were not told that because we were told you cannot show emotions at the office because then it's going to come back to must be that time of the month.
Absolutely. If we show any emotions at work, we are, weakness.
Right.
That is a sign of weakness. So things are changing, but still, we still cannot show emotions, how we're feeling. We have to create that whole, almost like a layer of makeup, external makeup, so to speak, for lack of a better word, that we express ourselves as being strong, because, women have to show that we are stronger, we can handle all kind of things. That's the other thing. Now, coming back to your Eastern medicine, the yoga breathing, there's a lot of research right now. I want to emphasize the fact, ton of research on different type of yoga postures, ton of research on different type of breathing techniques, ton of research on meditation, hypnotherapy, aromatherapy. We don't have so much time to talk about all these.
It's so many things.
Vedic chanting, sound bathing, like sound, music, we know that, but certain type of sound and frequency can help us calm down. All these things, if you start incorporating it in your daily life, and a lot of these Eastern medicines, Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine, talk about daily routine or circadian rhythm. They're talking about some kind of a daily routine on a daily basis, or circadian rhythm. Follow along the path of the sun. When you wake up, you wake up. When the sun goes down, you go down. And then also what
like farmers used to do, right?
Exactly.
We used to do that a lot here, and we got away from that agrarian society.
Absolutely. Ritocharya is nothing but following around the seasons, eating the foods and vegetables that are available during the season. Last week my husband got watermelon from Costco. I'm like, what? In December?
Watermelon at this time of year? Was it still sweet?
I don't know. I haven't cut it, but we should be eating root vegetables, that are part of the
Right.
season, pumpkins and the
Potatoes, beets,
squashes.
carrots, radishes.
Exactly. So that is also that the reason we are screwed up is we are getting watermelon now. We should when we should not be getting. Somewhere in the world, God knows someone is growing the watermelon and it's been come,
Yeah,
right?
I remember hothouse tomatoes, right? They had
Yes.
absolutely no flavor.
Yes, absolutely. So things like that, so simple things. But if you start incorporating these Eastern medicine, simple principles,
Right.
in your life, you will notice the difference.
Well, and you mentioned circadian rhythms. I think that's so important because and it's I think probably one of the hardest things for women because we're up early, we go to bed late, we don't nap. I nap, I take a nap, right? But I remember many years ago, I worked for a company and we were government contractors, so it meant we had no windows. And so you went in, especially in the winter, you went into your office and it was dark, and you came out of the office and it was dark. And we started realizing we had some really grumpy people. I mean, they just overall didn't matter age, sex, any of that. They were just grumpy. And so, and I mean, this would have been 35 years ago. And somebody came across an article that talked about the fact that we need sunlight and that circadian rhythm and all of that. And so they actually mandated that we had to go outside if we could. I mean, this was Colorado, so part of the time you couldn't, but you had to get outside during the daylight so that your kind of body clock would reset, because everybody, they were talking about they had insomnia, or they slept too much. I mean, all these things. And it was because we had our bodies had no idea when it was supposed to be daylight and when, and it was just so interesting because, yeah, I remember this policy from HR, you will go outside for 15 minutes a day. And we're like, what are we, kindergartners? But it really did help. I mean, that was the funny thing.
Yeah, in Japan, they have the same similar kind of a thing, right? Mandate that they required the employees to go forest bathing,
right?
Right? They tell them to go bathe yourself in a forest,
right.
which is so abundant here in the United States.
Go hug a tree.
We are blessed as far as the nature is concerned in this country. I can go to the mountains within 10-15 minutes, and most of us are close to nature, whether it's water or mountain or whatever. So we embrace the nature part as well as part of our daily routine or weekly routine if possible.
Right. And you can be outside working. I mean, Wi-Fi goes everywhere. All these various things. And I think that was one of the things that we saw a lot of during COVID was people got out and walked. They didn't have anything else to do, so they got out and walked. And it was very interesting because when we would go, we would see families out walking. And that was so much fun to see that. And of course, when the lockdown ended, that ended too, and everybody went back to their very busy lives. But it was very interesting to see how, again, the moods changed, all of those things. And we got our little natural vitamin D and all of those, and it was just, but yeah, we get stuck in our homes, our offices, with the filtered air, either the heat is on or the air conditioning is on, and heaven forbid you open a window. Sometimes, most time you can't anymore, right? And so our bodies just really suffer from all of this.
Yes, absolutely. That's very, very important to be in sync with nature. To be right. Our body is also nature has created us, so we have to be in sync with that, and that would change your mental health. We have so much mental health issues all over the world, not only in this country. We know that, and it will change everything along with it.
Right. And again, we're not talking about a lot. We're talking about a 10-minute walk, sit outside and have a glass of water, not wine, water. Okay, I guess I can sit out and have a little glass of wine. But yeah, it all comes back to what you were saying at the very start. We've got to take better care of ourselves, no matter what point of life we're in, but in particular, when we're in those perimenopausal years, because that's when the biggest changes are really happening. And we have to make sure that if we want to live to be 80, 90, 100, we've got to take good care of ourselves.
Yeah, if we want to live a better quality of life. Quality of life is so important. We need to age gracefully and healthy aging, longevity, such huge topics nowadays, right? People are doing strange things to increase the, length of your life and aging. So for women, especially, the hormones depletion starts happening in 40s or maybe earlier in some of the cultures. We talked about that. Very complicated. So important for them to start taking care of ourselves because of our hormone depletion. That is the fundamental reason why we have to be so vigilant now and almost selfish to help ourselves first.
We have to put our oxygen mask on first.
Absolutely. Self-love, self-care, all these things.
Right. And one of the easiest things and I have to remind myself of this every single day is water. It's just, there's so many benefits inside and out. I mean, we get so obsessed with, oh my gosh, I have a wrinkle. Part of that is your body needs that nourishment.
Yes.
And it's water, folks.
Absolutely. Hydration is so important. Don't start mixing all kind of things in that water, plain water and lukewarm water. That is better for your body, by the way.
Right, because it's not a shock too.
Exactly. Ice cold water is not good. Most of us have ice cold water whenever we go for lunches, dinners. The first thing is there's a whole bunch of ice and water. Try to get lukewarm water and, lukewarm teas, hot teas. These are nourishing to your body.
Well, and the ice is definitely a US thing.
Yes.
When we were in Europe, we had to beg to get an ice cube. And they were like, why? But it was like, I can't drink this. It's lukewarm. But yeah, it's something that is so simple. Well, oh my gosh, Amita, this has been so much fun and, so beneficial. Tell us a little bit about how people reach you and what are the services that you provide.
Yes, people can go to our website, www.nourishdoc.com. And we are coming out with an app end of the year or in January, which is going to, it's going to be amazing for women going through perimenopause and beyond. Self-care tools based on the symptoms. They can be guided by themselves. It's a self-care tool. But if they need help to be guided by an expert or consult an expert, that could also be, they can also engage in that. They can have a concierge services. Of course, the prices would be different. But it's all evidence-based. We have spent almost 3 years interviewing, talking to global holistic experts, all research and evidence-based, that people can start making changes. What we talked about today is called lifestyle medicine, holistic lifestyle, embracing that. And that's what we are trying to offer right now to women only, not that we are excluding men.
But we're different. We just have to accept that.
Exactly. So I felt this being an underserved market, and based on my experience, what I have had. So we are now coming out with NourishDoc.com, and people, if they have any questions, they can send me an email, hello@NourishDoc.com. But like I said, the app comes out end of the year or at the beginning of next year.
I love it. And you've got great programs. I'm looking at your website. You've got anti-aging, detox and rejuvenation, emotional wellness, menopause, and sexual health and weight loss. So pretty much one for everybody, or somebody could go, that's me. But yeah, there's so many great resources that you've got. And so again, that's at NourishDoc.com.
Absolutely. Pelvic health is another one. We're so embarrassed to talk about pelvic health right down there.
Right.
So
now that we're on Zoom, they don't see down there. So, it doesn't exist anymore. Right.
That's exactly. Yes.
Well, I mean, like I said, this has been so much fun and so enlightening because I think, as you said, we don't talk about this. We should talk about this. We should talk about this without being 12-year-olds that giggle, and really have meaningful discussions, whether it's with your family, your spouse, your friends, your coworkers, and maybe you need to loop your boss in there. But, it is something that is very important for all of us in our personal and our professional lives.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Yes.
Yeah. Do you have any final thoughts that you want to leave everyone with?
Yes, I would urge everyone to embrace a holistic lifestyle that is in balance with your physical self, your mental self, and your spiritual self. And number two, self-love, self-worth is fundamental to your happiness, to your quality of life, to your mental balance and overall balance. That's what I would like to say that.
I love it. Well, I'm Deb Creer. I've been having such a fascinating discussion with Amita Sharma, co-founder of NourishDoc. And until next time, everyone have a great day.
Tune in for our next program for even more trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. The Business Power Hour, hosted by Deb Creer, is proud to be part of the C-Suite Network.